Ladies and gentlemen, rejoice as we are back for another week of the Quake Pro League, week 3 to be precise, and I'm joined by someone that just gives me the tingles on the inside. Zoot's not here today, but I've got Dan himself, ZSX. How you been, mate?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
It's good to see you.
It's lovely to be back.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a while personally being away from you, but it's been a little bit of some downtime since you've been back in Quake. How'd you feel being amongst the Quakeness of the studio?
It's very Quakey.
It is, right?
Yeah, I feel the chair up a bit too much, I think.
It's all those biceps.
I'm a bit slightly wider than Zoot.
They're everywhere. There's muscles all over you.
I like in the shirt at least for you and the beard.
Cheeky.
But no, it's really good to be back. Loving what's going on here, loving the Quake Pro League, and really looking forward to today's games.
It should be some very exciting stuff. Obviously, if you missed it over the course of week 2 of Stage 2 of the Quake Pro League, we had some great results coming through. There was a couple of tasty ones. Things are starting to be shaken up. Rafa potentially not looking like the ultimate unbeatable demigod that some people say he is. It could be pretty interesting, couldn't it, Dan?
I mean, he's still tearing away at the top of the leaderboard, so let's not count our chickens too yet. But yeah, he's obviously extremely strong. I think the European scene is obviously got a slightly wider pool of competitive talent. We see in kind of the standings up there, and so really good matches going. Obviously, Base versus Cypher is up first, and I honestly think that Base's play style has the potential to upset good old Cypher. Coming back to the scene now, we've seen him be very, very strong. Yeah. But the way Base plays, I think, has a bit of a contrast with Cypher's. He can be very aggressive and has has kind of tendency to be caught off guard in those kind of situations where he might overstep the mark a little bit. And because of that, I'd actually give a potential favouring to Base for this one.
Well, let's see. We'll come back to that and we'll delve into it with a microscope a little bit later on. For now, let's get into the rankings and work out exactly where everyone is standing overall. With the world rankings up on top, as you can see, Kilson currently ranked 1 in the world with 109 points, Dan, as he leads the charge.
I mean, what can you say? He's been absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, coming off that victory down back in QuakeCon, doing still extremely well, holding up on the top of the leaderboard, going through to Looker as well. Very, very good performance there, and he's just been a stalwart of the scene since day one. He's unbelievable throughout his entire skill set, and there's no surprise to see him right up there.
Yeah, something that's also nice to see for me personally is Cypher slowly starting to make his way up the snakes and ladders that is the world rankings as he finds himself in 10th place. The more we see from Cypher, the better for me personally.
He is a fan favourite, and once again, he's a legend of the series, absolute legend. So he's creeping his way up there, obviously coming in slightly later than everyone else, and it's just a joy to watch him play. So see how he does.
Is there any takeaways for you of some of the players you potentially didn't expect to be in the positions they're in?
I think Wenger, obviously quite new to the scene. Razy, fairly newer, but obviously in Quake Champions has had huge success. But Wenger, for me, has been a little bit surprised because he's just one of the newer characters to the scene, and I really enjoy watching him. He's got amazing skill set in terms of his fighting capabilities, and because of that, we find him in a very strong position, just behind Coolers, in fact, who's actually slightly lower down than I thought he might be in the pecking order. Yeah,
Wenger's actually been really sick. That's one that is definitely a takeaway that's been fun to watch. Both of them have been a dynamic duo. Razy as well, just straight raising hell at every opportunity he has. So the standings shaping up quite nicely so far for Stage 2. We're seeing some improvement as well from some of the newcomers that came in off the back of Luca. It's just a matter of development to see where everyone ends up. But we can look at where they are going to be after today's games, as we do have the matchups down. We can check those out and see what the fixtures are going to be when we delve into the schedule. Now then, to kick us off for the day, Base versus Cypher as the one at the top of the list. As you touched on a little bit in the start of the show there, Base, definitely a slower style of play. Is this going to be something that could actually overthrow Cypher? Yeah,
as I was saying, I think everyone's going to lean towards passing Cypher the victory here, but I don't see any reason the way Base plays. We've seen in the past, even as far back as previous versions of the game, but these two combine quite nicely, and Base has traditionally taken maps off Cypher, so I don't see any reason why he can't do here. I guess we'll just have to see, but I would say it's going to be 2-1 to Cypher.
Nice. So potentially some great results coming through. A couple of good games tonight. We definitely have some hot stuff on the line. One that you want to keep your eyes on as well. For me, Cooler versus Tox. Tox, I feel like he's been getting back into his old shape once again. He looks to be a meme machine again, Dan.
He has been up and down a little bit, but as you say, last few weeks in particular, when he hits that full stride, there's really no one else on the planet that plays anything like good old Tox, and his aim is unparalleled, and when he has that, he does have that champion mentality, so he can grind out victories and has a very strong presence. So really excited to see that matchup.
And now, out of the other 4 games we have coming up tonight as well, of 8 games in total, there is a whole jam-packed schedule of Quake. But Dan, I want to pick your brains a little bit. Which one of these would you pick as a highlight match for the viewers at home?
I'm going to do a 50-50 and say I think Strong Kilson, should I say, is definitely my pick. But I think CNZ Venga also has a lot of potential to be extremely entertaining.
Is that more of the upset value we're starting to see come out from CNZ, or is
Absolutely,
it just
yeah.
the Venga factor?
I'm just excited to see how CS is progressing, because as he's come on leaps and bounds recently, he's always been a very stable player, but taking maps, taking series off some of the bigger names in the scene definitely fills me with confidence to say that he can come around and actually probably upset what in the standings would say Venga. But ultimately, Jeroen Kilson, always comes around in these big situations and pulls out results. And so even though Kilson's quite up there and quite steady on top of the leaderboard, I don't see, again, any reason why we might not have a strong victory today.
Oh yeah, hopefully so as well, because it would provide us with an awful lot. And then finally, a classic at the end there, Rafa versus Chain. You can't go wrong with a bit of a Rafa rampage to round out the night.
Rafa to finish the day, that's why. That's a good one.
It's like a dessert, you know, you get through your main course.
What kind of dessert would he be?
Oh god, I don't know. Like a nice treacle or something like that.
A treacle?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of brownie.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He does go down a treat.
Like dodgy and, stool.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
With a nice little bit of a warm gooey bit on the inside.
Why not?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, let's get into game
British,
one then. Because
that
analogy was probably some of the best stuff I feel like we've ever served up here on the Quake Pro League. If Zoot was here, it would be discussing why it's called a T-plate.
Why?
I don't know. He was something to do with T-plates, and also he said that a churro is a vertical biscuit.
I think...
But yeah, we'll come back to that later. The vertical biscuit banter will continue. For now, let's start off with Base versus Cypher. Base. This is more one of the interesting ones. For me, it's obviously going to be glancing at Cypher. However, for you, I feel like you might maybe pass it over to Base.
I know. I'm favouring Cypher for sure.
Okay.
But I think, once again, as I said, I don't think it'll be a 3-0.
Okay.
I do believe it'll be a 2-1, and a tight 2-1 at that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So really a close matchup here to start us off. Bit of a toughie for both of the boys.
Definitely.
Well, Base, Mr. Karate himself, he's a black belt for a reason. Years training in the martial arts, Dan, but is he going to have the capabilities to cause massacre on the server?
I think so. His playstyle is known for being extremely defensive, but with that comes strong positioning, good timing, and just a very solid player all around. And as we were saying before, that will always put you in good stead to have close matches. And if you have close matches and you always got the fundamentals strong, you're in a chance to beat anybody.
Oh yeah, I definitely think so. We've seen it work well. It's one of those sort of play styles that if it goes right, it goes incredibly right. You have that slower control of the map. You can definitely sort of basically dictate the pace of everything. And Cypher's someone that maybe if he goes in a bit too heavy-handedly, it could really come back to bite him.
Yeah, but he's not rusty. I don't think he'll ever be rusty. But again, as you said, going slightly overcommitting, Cypher has a tendency to do that in occasion, and has a tendency to be mentally off, slightly put off, particularly in play against players that are slightly more defensive. It can be frustrating in that regard, but look at some of the plays he makes. He's obviously regarded as perhaps the best player to ever play the game, if not one of the best players, and there's a good reason for that. He's just, every aspect of his game when he's on form is flawless. But again, this is why we're saying Base might take a map, because there are weaknesses there.
Yeah, I would probably agree. I think like if this is going to shape up, either way it is going to be a 2-1. I would definitely favour Cypher as well, purely just because the fanboyism that's behind it, because this man is a lunatic when it comes through, but also just because of the raw skill that he has to display on the server. Although Base has been looking very good in the past couple of weeks, and it feels like from stage 1 the whole way through, right? It's been a slow and steady improvement. The style has definitely blown any cobwebs that were on him completely off. He looks fresh. He looks like he's got the aim to back up the defensive style. But Cypher is just someone that I feel like if he can find those nooks and crannies, those small sort of little openings in his defense, he is just going to manipulate him down and blow him away.
Yeah, but I think, as you said, the fact that Base has those fundamentals to back it up, he has strong aim, and I think it is underrated how strong his aim is. It's across the board, across the full weaponry, that if he does get on his game and he has a good foothold in the game, it's very difficult to pull back. And so for me, Cypher does need that strong start to make sure he gets the momentum leading into the series to carry that through.
Well, let's see if the picks and bans are going to affect anything here as well, as we do have the veto coming through, so we can start to dissect this one and look at how it's going to go. Dan, what are your takeaways from this?
It's corrupt to keep being banned now. I think that's quite smart. That really takes away the momentum from Cypher. Looking at some of the champion picks as well, we can see the traditional matchup of the Nyx versus the Visor on the Ruins of Sarnath. I mean, as we expect, that's stereotypically the core counter there to the Nyx. However, a big part of that matchup comes down to who controls the vials better. And on Ruins, that's a hard task to make. Moving on to Molten, interested to see Cypher picking Ice and actually banning Athena. That's obviously a slightly different one to me. I don't know about your take on that, but I wouldn't have picked base as a particularly strong Athena player.
No, we definitely have seen more Athena played, especially throughout Stage 2. It feels like everyone's been a little bit more open to try a wider champion pool, which is definitely something that seemed quite obscure to me at first, right? It was quite tight-knit in the picks we saw coming through. So maybe there is some strategy behind that with Athena being taken out. Do like the BJ pick on base. Always love seeing a bit of BJ coming through. The Akimbo Assault can be tasty. Aizen, basically straight meta at this point, isn't it, really, for Cypher?
Absolutely.
It's do or die. It's needed.
And the bans out on Blood Covenant and Blood Run are the two strongest maps potentially for these two players. So it's kind of taking away those older style maps, leaving Awoken as the final one. And the Doom pick is I prefer the Doom pick on that map. The BJ is good, but Doom allows you to control that middle ground far more efficiently. And so even though with the dual wield, I think the control on that map that the Doom brings is much stronger than the dual wield.
Well, I think it makes sense, right? Because it's kind of like the BJ pick on base. It works quite well because of his playstyle. If you want to defend and use that literally just to pop it to try and stop someone going for a major item, fantastic. Exactly. It's going to work really well. But Doom, it's the extra mobility that Cypher's got. And if he has that on his tool belt, that's going to be worrying because he's already pretty rapid and he's got smooth moves as it goes.
It is. And it's one of the maps actually where the Berserk works quite well because it's a lot of tight-knit corridors, a lot of tight-knit fights, and so we might see a few interesting frags coming out from Cypher if he can get that rolling.
Oh yeah, I think so. If he can start to get himself into the mold and really unleash. But let's get back into the first map. Let's open it up. Let's try and take it from the top. Obviously, that's where we are going to be heading to start off this series. I feel like the video's actually gone quite well between these two as well. Of the three we have available to us, this is really going to give us a bit of a scrap.
Yeah. I'm actually enjoying not seeing a Blood Covenant or Blood Run straight off the bat. That's what I would have thought would come up from both these players. That's where the comfort zone is, and so it's going to be nice to see a little bit of variety coming out, really testing those skill sets.
Okay, trying to see what we can claw out from either side. It could be some exhilarating stuff once we get on a board. For me, I think now going into our final predictions as well, after we've seen the V, are you still sticking to the safe 2-1 bet? You feel like Cypher's going to take this, or is there more of a lenient side towards base now?
Seeing the maps now, does send it up in the air a little bit more for me.
Okay.
Ruins does have the potential to be quite defensive, and so you can play that positional game really strong. Molten is one of those maps I don't think anyone's really figured out how to nail it just yet, and I feel playing that map and watching that map, the tempo of traditional dueling is thrown up quite into the air, but the way that's laid out, and so I'm really not too sure. A, why Cypher chose it. Obviously, he's very comfortable in it. We'll have to see. But B, how that's going to end up. I'm still leaning towards a 2-1, but I mean, hands off at this stage.
Yeah, I feel like it does have to be a 2-1. That's also kind of like the safety net for us, right? As like
it's early, you know, getting the caffeine sinking in.
You got to wait. You got to warm up. You know, we can't go all out. It's like being at the gym, Dan. You know, you got to warm up the bicep. You can't just go all in.
I mean,
be
some
ridiculous.
of us can, but
yeah, unless you just want the bicep pump for the show, but.
Maybe next time.
Maybe we'll come back after the break. We'll do it. It'll be great. We'll look absolutely incredible. But that's hopefully what the game should look like once we get into it as well. Just waiting to get underway with our opening game of the night here with the Quake Pro League. Bear in mind though, guys, if you are just joining us, there is a whole lot to go down tonight. There is going to be 8 games in total played out. If you love Quake, you're in the right place. If you are just joining us and you've got some thoughts on the show tonight as well, some matchups that are coming up, hit us up on Twitter. That's #Quake Pro League, and let us know what you think of the broadcast or who your picks are for who's going to take this opening series. I feel like both of us are going for Cypher at this point pretty confidently. If you have a conflicting opinion, let us know. If you're more of a base fan, if you reckon he's going to come in with that superior control, because there's definitely a possibility. I think base is one of those players that a lot of people seem to... I feel like it was almost overlooked slightly into stage 1.
I would agree that, for sure. And as we said, I just feel he's slightly underrated relative to obviously the performance he's puts out, some of the results he had in the past, and he always seems to be there or thereabouts. And as we said in the intro, if your playstyle ensures that you can have close games, you're always in for a chance. And that's, I mean, it does sound logical, and it is basically, you know. And defensive playstyles, light base, will always keep you in a game. It'll always be close.
Well, it looks like we're ready for it. Base versus Cypher. We've given the talk. Let's see if they can walk the walk as we start to kick this one off. Who is going to come out on top on the first map here? Oh, no, it looks like we're not quite ready for this one yet, as they're going to back out and reset before we do kick off the first match. It's a tease, Dan. It's a little tease. They're trying to get you ready.
I wonder what will happen, but you know, we'll see.
Yeah. We'll get back in there.
I don't like being teased.
No. You're not a fan of it.
I was excited to go, and now we're right back here staring at our.
You've got all your energy ready. You've invested it all.
Yeah.
It's like the slap on the back before a power lift. You know, you get all the adrenaline, it rushes through you.
Exactly, and then you're having just to reset.
It's awful. It's not going to work, Dan.
No?
We can't reset you.
Can't reset me?
No, no. You're
Why
too
not?
much of a meme machine, that's why.
I thought you said meme machine.
A meme machine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, compared to Zoot, you probably could be.
I mean, that's not hard, but yes.
I'm surprised how tall he is that everything goes over his head.
I like it.
Well done.
This guy's on form.
Well, that's what I do. That's what I do. Hopefully the players will be as well once we get into the server. Little tease for everyone out there as you're starting to whet the appetite. Whet the palate.
Your transitions are just so smooth.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's what I've been talking for like 22 years at this point.
Just non-stop.
Yeah.
Can't shut you up.
Yeah, I know. Nightmare. What are you...
He's great.
This is great. I've missed working with you.
I know,
It's been a while. It feels
like
like it's really been quite some time since we've seen each other. Since you saw me in a box.
When was that?
Jumping through the studio.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, in the box race. The great box race of 2019.
Classic.
It was vintage. It really was. And I'm excited to see if this one is going to be a vintage affair as well. Once we get everything reset, I imagine they're just setting up the lobby at this point, and then we'll delve back into the action. So it shouldn't be long as we've got everyone in the chat riled up and ready for some rambunctious action on the server.
Rambunctious action, yes. We're on Ruins. I believe, off the top of my head, Base was playing Visor, and Cypher's playing the Nyx. And as I said, I think a big part of this matchup is ability control, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So it's obviously there's a core counter there where you have the invisibility, the ghost walk, and then you have the piercing sight as well. And yes, that is a counter, but it's more about, as I said, who controls the vials. Because if you're not controlling the vials, then, for instance, the visor might have a huge amount of uptime on the piercing sight, and then you've got someone basically permanently seeing through walls, which is never a fun existence for you. But at the same time, with the Nyx, that ghost walk can be used in so many variety of situations, and so it really is a core part of the matchup, is working out how to best control the vials. And I always find it's quite difficult as a Nyx to get a foothold, because being a light champion, one of the most dangerous times is right off the spawn. And so, again, that's why I'm saying if Base can get a 1-up and really keep the pressure on to Cypher, it is quite difficult to make a comeback as one of the lighter champions.
Well, that's the thing as well, with this basically being like the Quake Champions promo matchup, right, between two champs that are literally, it's been so in and out, we've seen it so many times, we know how it plays. You do look at it and go, okay, with these two meeting up, Base's playstyle, if he gets an early game lead, it's going to be so hard for Cypher to try and reinitiate, because he can put the brakes on and absolutely slam them on. But we're going to be taking the brake off. It's time to release the gas, Dan, as we're in Base versus Cypher as we kick it off. Let's see how this one is going to go down.
Yep, Cypher with that Mega Health spawn, just waiting for information now. Not really sure where Base is at the moment, so playing extremely slow, both of them. But Cypher with a slight weaponry advantage at the moment with that rocket. Base did an amazing job of really offsetting the heavy here, and I don't think Cypher knows it, so he's going to miss out on both major items. He's going to have to go on the back foot immediately. Great rail coming out from Base there. He knows where Cypher is.
Here comes the opening fight. Here's going to be the walk pop.
Oh,
he tries to get away, but that is dirty from Base, Dan. Straight down with a hurty-verty, rips him a new one with the rail.
Yeah, popping that piercing sight here, and both of them popped at the same time, so the cooldowns are both down for them, and he can push in here for the kill.
This is really displaying the level of aim that we expected to see coming out from Base as well. Crisp and clinical as he opens up with the rails, finishes it off with the LG to put him down, and Cypher might actually fall for a third time here. This is rapid from Base. This is the worst possible outcome to start the game.
Absolutely, and with that offset on the items as well, Cypher's in big trouble here. He's not going to get a foothold. He's going to have to play super defensive, get that rail, try and push back, and just play for time. He needs to get onto those lighter armors now, but Base does know that with the piercing sight up. Wouldn't be surprised for him to pop that sometime soon just to check out where Cypher is.
Base. The primal instincts coming through as he catches a whiff. He knows the scent of Cypher and looks to try and hunt him down. He doesn't have to overcommit to a lot of these fights as well. Already being 3-0 up, he can take the game how he wants it. Just going for control of the Mega, does drop down. Ton of damage done with the LG as he is ripping his way through Cypher here in the early start of the fight. Should be able to finish him off. The visor comes through. It's just going to be a matter of chasing, and that's the rocket straight down feet to blow Cypher's shoes off.
And you can see there the absolute perfect way to play against Nyx. Absolute patience there, really playing to the awareness of where Cypher needs to be. So running around, checking out those light armors, and just tracking him down without any real knowledge of where he's going to be. Just game sense to the max.
And this is the dream scenario for Base as well. If he can maintain this from this point going forward, ideally now, I mean, with 4 frags up, he can take it so slow as well. He doesn't have to go for a fight unless he's really 100% sure he is going to get another frag on the board as well. It's just a matter of being the apex predator, Dan, just lurking around.
And the whole story of this duel so far is that initial offset of the heavy armor by base, just waiting down in that corridor, didn't pick it up for a good 10-15 seconds, which completely set Cypher off from what was going on the map.
Both of them, once again, back over fighting. A kerfuffle for control of the Mega. But all of these items are just going so easily towards base. Cypher looks timid. He's scared to go in for the full commit for a lot of these, knowing that he's outgeared by his opponent, really. Nice love tap on the way through, at least to do some damage and leave a mark on base.
Nice rails. That's even things up, but Cypher doesn't know when the major titans are, so he's missed out on the heavy. He needs to get himself onto that Mega, but he is too early. Nice rails coming out there from base. Really nice.
That was really clinical.
And now we see this is the this is the hardest time in the map now for Cypher.
He's trying to get away. Base losing sight of him, starts to reset himself with a rail, doesn't want to actually go for the full commit on the flick, instead backs off as Cypher is going to try and escape as hard as possible, incredibly low, barely staying alive as he leaves a blood trail behind him.
And there's no problem there. Base doesn't need to push in, as you said. He's 5 frags up already, just play the map, keep Cypher away. You know what he needs. He needs health, he needs armor, and he can't contest with the major items.
He does finally do some damage to base, and that is going to be the frag that he desired so dearly. The flick up with a rail.
Okay. I mean, we were just saying that base didn't need to push in, and that's what happens when you overcommit sometimes. Cypher does have that capability to turn it around on you very, very quickly, but fortunately, base gets a very decent spawn, and that puts him back in a good position. The only thing going for Cypher at the minute, he does have the weaponry advantage.
There's still going to be 5 more frags to even equalise this as well, to try and force us into a sudden death. It's early doors though, 4 minutes and 30 passed on the clock. Still tons of time for Cypher to get back into the game, but
Cypher needs to have a little bit more presence around these major items. As you see, he doesn't know when the timing is. He's already down, waiting for that heavy.
The heavy once more. It's going to go the way of base, and
nice.
He does force him back. Stays alive as well, Dan.
Absolutely.
So
that rail was crucial because it stops base from being aggressive. Now it means base needs to sit on the back foot to pick up some of these health. Cypher does pick up another light armor, so he's in a very good fighting position for this Mega, and he knows when it is.
Chase comes back through, he's literally just going to sit on top of it. He comes back out of the Ghost Walk, it's an easy spam down with a rocket, and that's a 7th kill now for base. 7 frags picked up within 5 minutes.
It's getting to a point now where Cypher's going to have to take more and more risks, but the way again base is playing, apart from that single point of overcommittal, he's played absolutely perfect Ruins so far.
I mean, the problem with that is as well, even if Cypher wants to try and go complete 180, full aggression, second after second, he can't get any control. None of the major items are going his way.
No, and that's the problem, as we were talking about in the build-up to this game. The problem with being a lighter champion is that you have to have a foothold on the map to take risks, because Nyx has no stack. You need to get a foothold on that map, and base is doing such a great job on whittling down any little thing that Cypher, any of the scraps that Cypher gets to pick up, and so he's never in a position to do anything, and that's despite hitting back-to-back-to-back rails. I don't even think he's had a major item beyond the first initial one. It's been an absolute masterclass from base so far.
It's been really beautiful to watch. If you're trying to learn how to play a very defensive controlling style, that's exactly what base is demoing on screen for you right now. He gets the Mega as well, forces Cypher to pop his abilities. He tries to get out with the Ghost Walk, still finds another frag. That's now 8-1, and the clock is ticking for Cypher, Dan.
It really is, and that's an example of one of those high-risk plays that Cypher needed to take. It just didn't work out because he took too much damage walking into that room. And once again, this 15-second split between major items mean base is able to use that stack advantage against Cypher and keep him away, managing the chokeholds particularly well. Cypher's had absolutely no win on any major item so far. He just needs to try and whittle base down with the rails prior to launching in, but base is just giving him no angles to work with. Once again, base back up to essentially max stack, and look at Cypher, just about got 2 light armors now. Base knows that, doesn't need to commit, so backs off.
Good prediction as well. Here's the audio cues, the footsteps coming across from Cypher as he flicks
that
up.
That rail hurts Cypher far more than it does base, but manages to get on base just a few seconds late. This really is last chance saloon for Cypher now, as base backs off to pick up a bit more of a stack.
Still in close proximity.
No.
He gets the heavy, he steals it from behind him. Dan, this can't be happening.
And that is why you need to know timers. because even if he gets out of here, Cypher is going to be extremely weak as well, to the point where he probably cannot commit for the Mega.
It's also rough because most likely Base is now going to get the follow-up frag, keep the kill chain going off the back of this because Cypher's so low. Wow.
Alright, casual.
A little bit of salt in the wound. He's trying.
I don't think we'll see Base committing now.
Doesn't really have to. It's mostly on Cypher to actually push his
100%.
agenda. This is a big leap in though. Full commit. He's trying to track him down.
Nice.
That was tasty.
He is a little bit stuck now as the heavy is not up, so Cypher just needs to play a little bit slower. But Base goes in from behind to steal it. Amazing read coming out there.
It's still ridiculous just how much control Base has had over the course of this entire map.
He's just played the fundamentals much better from Cypher, and I think we'll see at the end. This is one of the only major items that Cypher has got. Base's Stranglehold has been strong for the full 8 minutes of the duel so far.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be a bit of a spectacle seeing the stats at the end of this first map because it's got to be all in favour of Base. Cypher's still hitting those rails. He's being able to do the damage, but he can't do anything in the fights because Base just has so much more stack to play with. But that was really clean.
But as you just said, right, I think Cypher's sitting nigh on 70% rail.
Yeah.
And he's just getting bullied.
1 minute warning.
It's been seriously impressive here.
I suppose every rail he hits, Base is being able to steal away another heavy or another mega to just cancel it out instantly.
Absolutely, and that's the problem. Cypher just hasn't had any presence across major items in this map.
Finally, Cypher gets himself a mega to play with, but already it's basically been negated as the damage comes out from Base. Really smooth moves as he gets himself out of there. 30 seconds left, Dan. It's 8-3. Surely this has got to be a Base victory picked up.
Yeah, it is. Pretty impressive, I have to say. But, you know, warming up. We'll see how Cypher does next map. And this is why. We said Base really does have a good chance of taking at least a map, if not the series, away from Cypher.
Oh yeah. I mean, both of us going for the 2-1 there towards Cypher. The maps and the picks on the champions definitely shake things up. Insult to injury in the final moments as well from Base as he's going to close it down. 9-3 are the totals on the frags there. And I want to see these major items because it's got to be so ridiculously skewed.
Jeez.
Wow. Okay. What was that? 2 heavies and 4 megas?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's rough. That's not ideal.
I don't know how you just. That's why I mean, as simple as that. You can't play without major items. Cypher was hitting so much. His aim was sweet, but Base's awareness of Cypher's positioning, awareness of what resources he needed, he just controlled the map and manipulated Cypher around, and just he made it look easy.
Oh yeah, like that literally just looked so one-sided for the entire game. It was just basically a tech demo of this is how you play the ultimate control.
And it's apart from one slight mistake of overcommittal, and again, it was only an overcommittal because Cypher hit so much, and you can see here that Base's aim was no slouch either. He hit what he needed to hit. His positioning throughout the map was perfect. He didn't overcommit. The spawn manipulation was great, and we can see the problem again of just being a lighter champion. But hats off to him. Great duel from Base.
Well, it's also the scary factor of even ignoring the fact that already 4 minutes in, it's 5-0. In the first 2 minutes of the game, it was a 3-0 scoreline towards Base. We were worried in the pre-game talking about the fact that if he goes 2-up or 1-up in the initial moments of the game, it's going to be hard for Cypher to find himself back in control. And he just didn't. He couldn't find his footing throughout the whole game.
No. Like, Ruins of the map where you can slow it down really well, but Base just kept the pressure up for those first 3 or 4 minutes, and by then it was almost too late for Cypher. By 5 minutes in, it was like 6-7-1 up, and he had a chance to slow it down, just keep core timings, hit the rails he needed to hit, kept Cypher away, and we can see here like there were some great shots coming out from Cypher, but just wasn't enough because Base had full control. He was always stacked at 2-3 rails, generally wasn't enough, and he gave him a chance to get away because Base's return damage meant that Cypher couldn't push back in either.
Yeah, it's rough. Off the back of this then, going into the second map here for Cypher, I suppose at this point it's also just the mental reset of don't take too much off the back of the first game, right? It's so hard to get yourself back in as a light champion there if you have that much control to the extreme that Base had. What do you think he's got to do here on the second map as change things up in terms of a mindset?
I mean, he's obviously not playing on a light champion now. I think he's playing Ison.
Yeah.
And it's Molten as well, which was his pick. So one would assume he's going to feel slightly more comfortable Obviously, I think he's going to be a little bit shaken going into it now, but Molten is a map where I think it's a bit harder to lock down as Space did there.
Okay.
It's slightly more spacious, there's more levels going around, and so I do favour Cypher to not give up as much ground in the early stages and is a bit more back and forth. So I think the more free-for-all element of this map, the chaos introduced into the map will definitely suit Cypher.
Yeah, I think that's something he needs as well, because it just fundamentally didn't work for him there.
Yep.
Even when he tried to turn up the tempo and realised, okay, I'm about 5-0 down at this point now, I do need to go a bit more aggressive. We just saw so many steals from base where he was still being able to just pull out these major items, and it's like, how is this still working for you?
Exactly. And we saw when they got into one-on-one confrontation, Cypher's skill set was superior to Base overall, and Base is no slouch. He was hitting his shots, but Cypher was just that level above. And so if we can get a little bit of a foothold, which I think he will, I definitely think Cypher can take Molten away.
Because I think it's more the consistent damage we saw from Cypher over the course of that entire game. It was sustained, right? Like, majority of rails he went for, he hit pretty much every time. Base was definitely hitting the shots when he needed to, though, which, if you're playing Control, that's all you really need. But let's move over to the second map here. Base versus Cypher as we slide back in once again. Can the Heartbreaker break some hearts? Or will it be the Black Belt walking away with the second map?
Good luck, have fun coming out from Cypher with a smiley face. I always like to see that. The Base off the spawn definitely gets the better of the confrontation. Better weaponry, and somehow Cypher gets away dealing really nice damage. However, he doesn't have much to work with just yet.
Base starting to back off initially. Heavy's up in 8 seconds, so he's just going to lurk around for the meantime and perk those ears up, see if he can figure out what Cypher is up to. As he knows he's coming from the rear. Timing works out very nicely, drops down, gets the heavy. Fair bit of damage done as well with the splash damage from the rockets, Dan, to at least keep him at bay.
Yeah, I believe Cypher did enough there to back himself off to get onto that mega health. Base will try into the peak rail here just to get timing. Cypher is out of position though.
This could work out very badly. This should have been Cypher's mega ideally. Instead it goes to Base, Dan.
It really should have been. I think Cypher probably underestimated how much damage he did to Base and just took the safer option of keeping high ground. So, you know, if you're unsure, it is definitely a much safer option to keep positional advantage.
Worrying factors as well. This could be a sign of confidence being knocked. That's not what you want to see from a man like Cypher.
No,
he needs to be really fueled with the anger.
And to give away a free heavy armor as well suggests to me there might be a potential miscalculation on timing here as Cypher is tackling that middle ground, trying to track out where Base is and potentially set up a trap, but at the same time just making sure he's also in the stronger position should a fight break out. I'd expect some damage to be coming out on the heavy armor here. Just taking timing. Cypher playing much, much safer than he was the first time around, potentially learning his lessons from Ruins.
Oh. This should be our first initial proper fight, really, as they're going to battle over the Mega. Although Base, he just snatches it, gets away completely for free. There's no retaliation from Cypher here. It's still a bit of a stalemate, Dan.
For sure, but Cypher also has built himself an adequate fighting stack with 2 light armors now, and hitting that rail, that is the signal to engage, or at least to do big damage onto this heavy. However, missing virtually all his shots. Base with a return, sets Cypher back. Once again, into that pattern of trying to pick up the lights.
Stopwatch.
It's the classic dance that we see.
It is, but although Cypher isn't competing, what he's doing is he's playing extremely careful around the back corridors to make sure that if Base is going to come through, he's going to run into a Cypher in a much better position.
Ooh. Tribal going through. Ooh, beautiful tackling out from the rail as well. So much damage done to Cypher. Lucky to be alive as he'll be staggered and have to back himself off. Base happy with that though. Even if he doesn't find the frag, at least he's still maintaining control, and this will leave Cypher in a position where he won't be able to fight for quite some time.
Absolutely, and that all came about from Base changing up his movement pattern across the map. Traditionally he'd been going down the low road, but this time rocket jumping up, catching Cypher completely on guard as he was trying to set a trap above Base. Meaning now Cypher once again
Stopwatch.
on the back foot.
Tank.
Base here just keeping to the basics. Making sure he's picking up all major items, not letting Cypher get a sniff.
This really is just vintage Base on display now. The way he's being able to navigate his way around and just maintain control so easily.
We can see that 15-second split on major items again means Base has plenty of time to do his full rounds of checks around the major item. Keep Cypher completely out of competition. But at the end of the day, he's happy with this. Like, he's the one in control. Cypher's the one that has to play perfectly because it's extremely difficult to play without items. You cannot make a single mistake. Is he going to knock him off?
It's almost the ring out. Oh no. That could have been definitely the way to start our quota of 4 ring outs to show. Cypher barely left alive, slammed down there as the rail will rip its way through everything he had to play with on the stack. Nearly 5 minutes elapsed as well. It's still just classic the way it's being played. Standard control, no frags for either party.
No, but you can see now, simple as that exchange was, and as much as base came in out better there, he's now got less of a stack just because of that nice little chip damage coming out from Cypher. So Cypher's going to get potentially his second major item of the game.
Base. 1 rocket in his arsenal as well. He gets into a bit of a close quarters kerfuffle. It could be awkward for him instead, though. It's the tri-bolt he's going to wield. Like a very deadly weapon there as he hits a large majority of damage across the Cypher, wards him back.
Yeah, it's so back and forth at the minute. It's living on a knife edge. Just both of these players are doing what they need to be doing. Oh no.
This could be the opening frag, surely. Cypher goes down as the full assault comes through with the rail, and Base gets an opening kill on the board 5 minutes in.
Yep, Base taking the perfect position there in the mid-ground.
Now he's turning up the tempo as well.
Yeah, understanding what Cypher has no weaponry to work with, putting on the pressure, but again, not overcommitting. Happy with his 1-0, because he could have probably got the frag, but at what cost? Taking away the light armor as well. Great play here.
Now Base essentially doesn't have to change much to his playstyle here. He can just maintain the way he was playing previously. Starts to go a bit aggressive, does take down the turret, so Eisen won't get any shenanigans off with that bad boy. Forces off Cypher, and now just holds once again for the heavy.
Yeah, he's got the gist of what Cypher's trying to do here, so really cutting out those angles, making sure he's pressuring him before Cypher's able to get into position, and because of that pressure, Cypher's forced to back off to take up a new position for the subsequent round of items.
Ooh, barely spots him out. It's a love tap across.
Yeah, but it's not enough because it's when it's just prior to the item like that, it's almost negligible.
Especially if Base is the one with the superior stack going into it as well. It leaves him in a good position to still maintain the large lead he's had basically the whole game.
Exactly. And with that 15-second split again, he has plenty of time to secure major items, so he's not rushing to get the item. He has time to clear it out, make sure Cypher's nowhere to be seen. Cypher hasn't even been able to get his full stack of armor just yet, as Base is taking away that secondary light armor, meaning Cypher's had to wait a full minute to get 2 rounds of his single light armor.
I think it just goes to show as well how many fights we've had, considering I think we've seen, what, 1 dire orb from Base in 7 minutes?
Yeah, and that was to stay alive on the map.
Yeah.
Cypher's essentially using the turrets at the minute as information pieces, putting them out around pieces of corridor to make sure he knows where Base is. And obviously if those turrets are still alive, that is a very safe area for you to be. But putting no pressure onto major items is concerning to me.
And at least it's not too out of hand in terms of the frag tally. If he can still get 1, he can equalize it, but
when Blaze has such a good split on these major items and is making sure he's actively tracking Cypher down prior to the items, that relative indication to go in. Cypher
trying to burn his way through, goes for the super shotgun. Surely that's going to be a takedown. Cypher eliminated as the high-flying LG comes through, burning him to pieces there. That's a second frag picked up now for Base, so things getting worrying for Cypher here on map 2.
Absolutely, but that was great patience from Base as he doesn't push in. Cypher does have an advantage now with the stack. Base extremely low. Can he get away?
Oh, actually, willing to fight it. The nails are whizzing by him, but they're not going to scare him. He holds his ground, gets 2 sickeningly good rail shots across, leaves Cypher in an awkward position. Both of their stacks fairly low. Oh, that could have been the difference between life and death.
Yeah, Base now just holding out around that rail area because he knows that Cypher doesn't have that weapon and it's got to be a priority for him. So he's making sure he's defending the area, understands that it is something Cypher needs, only moves away to get that heavy and jump out. Cypher has to push in now.
Leaps himself up, trying to go for the fight on the high ground. Cypher, it was a bold attack, but he's not given a chance to actually continue to fight with it. Instead, Base falls back. It goes back into the standard play he's had. That's going to be another mega that isn't contested. And damn, there's what, not even a minute left?
No, not a minute left. And Cypher's the one in the initiative here, so he's got to make the moves. Base just holding his ground, but picking up that Mega is going to be so hard for Cypher. He's not done a good enough job just yet of putting on pressure for Base.
1 minute warning.
Final 60 seconds. Finally, for once, Cypher gets a good opening initiation. Tries to bait him out with a Dire Orb, but Cypher, he knew the shenanigans that were going down. Chases him, gets Base so low, 22 stack left, but it won't matter when he leaps himself up, exposed as he dangles in the air. An easy target for Base to punish.
And we said at the start of this game that the Chaos would favor Cypher, and there's been no Chaos. It's been structured, it's been regimented, and Base is putting on a clinic of how to play Duel at the moment. It's basic, it's the fundamentals. He's got the better of Cypher. It's as simple as that.
It's like we booted up an old VHS of Base. Like it's you know what I mean, this is the
Find
classic
the right
old
adapter,
school.
and he's fully functioning at the
Oh, it's good to witness here. But that is going to be the second map picked up for Base. 3-0. He will win it over Cypher. Another one for the books there, as at this point he has been able to win the series. At most it could be a 2-1 split. Not in favour of Cypher though, for Base to be walking away with this. Bear in
Once
mind
again,
as well,
look,
like
17 Megas to 2.
The controls is mental.
It's insane.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And once again, Cypher did well. Actually, there was a long period of that game where Cypher was trying to catch Base, but Base just understood what Cypher was doing and played around him, made sure he secured the items, got that split again between the heavy and the mega, and once that was in place, Cypher felt almost useless.
Yeah. It's so rough. It's also quite worrying just alone on the fact that into stage 2, with the extra points that are now on the line, especially if you get a 3-0, I think it's 16 points if you go through with that full 3-0, like, that can do so much to the standings and skew it, that if Base gets a full 3-0 over Cypher here today, it would just be lunacy for how far he would skyrocket through the standings then.
Yeah, and despite the fact that Cypher's been the one climbing up the leaderboard, he's just been manhandled these last 2 games, and he really needs to get something going on this final map if he wants to pull out absolutely any points from today, because it's been, as we said, it's been an absolute clinic from Base as he's played spot on throughout.
Yeah.
That rocket jump there, so smart, using that passive advantage, forcing Cypher to make a move. Pop.
And he's done.
There we go.
Goes down like a party balloon.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Wouldn't be a very good party though, would it? Be quite sad if all the balloons would pop him.
Yeah, Base wouldn't say he put on a good party after that performance. Just,
no.
You know,
he was the balloon maker. He was distributing all the balloons.
Yeah, I like that.
Definitely not the clown though in that situation.
No.
He was too good for it. But he smashes his way through 2 maps already claimed at this point, as Base is looking dominant. And I think, you know, we said that maybe people overlooked him a little bit into stage 1.
Yep.
Potentially we overlooked him here today.
Yeah, I feel a little bit sad that I was tempted to say 2-1 Base, but then I would have been the villain of the broadcast. But I'm feeling slightly vindicated. At least I thought it for a brief second, even if I don't follow through my gut.
That's fine. As long as it was in your head, at the end of the day,
that
you
counts,
know.
Right?
You know.
I
And
know.
that's all that matters.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. It's what's on the inside. It's what's on the heart that matters here at the Quake Pro League.
Like an Oreo.
Like an Oreo?
I just felt like bringing back the biscuit analogies.
Yeah. Other brands of biscuit are available. Just in case.
Allegedly.
Map 3, Jam. Exciting stuff so far. Base really tearing it up. I feel like that's pretty safe to say, because the majority of fights have gone his way purely just because the extra control he's had. Again, you know, not even a quarter of the major items being picked up by Cypher, even though it looked like he completely changed his playstyle to attempt to counter it, to mirror it, right? But it just didn't work.
And that's what I was going to say. The fact that he definitely learnt his lessons from Ruins in trying to, as you say, switch up his playstyle. It just wasn't enough. Base had his number. He didn't do enough to pressure the major items, but that's also partly because Base's control was that good. Anyway, let's see what can happen here now. As I did say at the start of the broadcast, I favoured the Doomslayer on this map, so we will see what happens.
We're on Awoken. Probably one of my favourite maps in terms of the chaos that can come through from it, so let's see if that is going to go down today, because I want to see some chaos from Cypher. It's not really had that extra bit of pepper that he likes to add to his games normally.
No. Base currently just protecting the rail, making sure he can back off onto that heavy, understanding once again the weapon advantage of Cypher not having access to that just yet, and Base has the full weaponry now. So he's in fighting spirits. However, Cypher did get a major item for one of the only times in this series so far.
Yeah.
So
an opening major item.
We should have a normal start to this duel for once.
Hopefully so. This could play to his hands. I mean, with the extra mobility on Doom as well, maybe this could change things up slightly. It could play to his advantage, but you never know. Big man BJ, he's a scary lad to go up against, so let's see what he is going to be serving up for us tonight. Spots out Cypher. Small amount of damage done. He looks to try and follow it up with a rail shot. Cypher doesn't want to give him the chance, though, Dan. Oh, no, the double LG comes through. He doesn't get the frag, though. Punished by Cypher. He should have been so low in that situation. How's he managed to get the rocket off?
That was unbelievable. I would have assumed that Cypher should have died there, but just hit absolutely everything. And now he's the one in full control. You can hear the screens coming out. Just a rail. Does force Cypher back now as he can't push in. However, should be able to reset and potentially at least get some sneaky damage onto the Mega. Decides to play a bit safe. Great confrontation, and we can see that Cypher definitely respects base. And that's probably the one thing that's changed, as you said, from Ruins to now, is that respect coming through for base's fighting capabilities.
Oh yeah, he doesn't want to risk any fight that he isn't pretty confident on here. 3 bullets left in the tri-bolt, that's the perfect amount to deal some damage with as he tries to burst his way through the ever-building stack of base as he's finding his footing once again, Dan. He's not looking like he's shaking anymore. He gets the Mega and he starts to return to his normal route.
Exactly, but he does have timing, at least on the heavy. Should have an awareness of when approximately that Mega health is.
3 seconds up until they're heavy. They're going to try and battle back over towards that area. Low on ammunition. Instead, switching out to the rocket. That'll be the steal on the heavy. Cypher trying to battle upwards as base has the high ground, leaving his Padawan down in the water. But will he be sleeping with the fishes tonight as Cypher starts to back off, fires out the warning rockets to escape. A bit of chaos coming through. Finally, a big fight that we wanted to see. Exchanging damage between either side. Lovely follow-up rail to leave base pretty low. He's still consistently hitting these rails, but he can't get the kill.
No, but there is time up now between the major items. However, Cypher's nowhere to be seen. And once again, he's just chilling at Mega Health, which means base can definitely get across if he wants to. Decides to be wary, thinking there's a trap at play, even though there wasn't. Slightly fortunate there for Cypher that he was able to cleanly get that Mega Health.
Oh no,
he's out of rockets.
Oh, this is so awkward. He was right by rocket instead, leaps over the edge, doesn't get any more. Here's the awful click noise, and then gets left in the dirt, blown away by base as they return to a 1-1.
And this is uncharacteristic from Cypher, if you will, because there's almost too much respect coming out at this stage in the game where he needs to be pressuring slightly harder. Base is the one that's catching him off guard because he's playing slightly too passive.
Starting to fight his way round. Base, hearing the footsteps, knows what's near him as the Doom comes charging round the corner. Trying to really live up to his namesake here and do some damage, but neither of them fully committing to an opening fight. Cypher a little bit lower off on the stack as well. Heavy's about to come up, and it should actually be base for free.
And once again, Cypher's completely out of position here. Just trying to deal some exit damage as base comes through.
Time to die.
We can see that this is the power of the Doom, is that control of the mid-ground is the one thing that Cypher definitely has going for him. The fact that base also popped that dual wield means that Cypher needs to be slightly more optimistic about the next fight as he pushes in.
Oh. Though he's going to be able to steal out the Mega, gets away, does an awful lot of damage as well as he starts to force base to deviate from his initial plan. Has to head over towards the heavy, both of them left in a pretty mirror matchup position here, not only in terms of frags but in terms of stack. This could be the do or die fight though. Look like they're trying to re-aggress against each other. Base slightly on the hunt but doesn't need to overcommit. He can just hold for the Mega. It's the classic play once again. They've just returned to the norm, Dan.
Yep, and Base did enough on that high ground of keeping Cypher at bay to pick up that heavy, but also then the repositioning meant that Cypher was out of position to compete for that Mega. So decides not to back off to try and hit some rails, which he's doing really nicely. One more will do it.
Oh. The tri-bolt bursting in the air in front of his eyeballs as well, going to leave him dazed and confused. To Cypher, as he tries to fight towards him, knows where they're both heading as they fight over the Mega. Big damage done as he leaves a massive hole gaping through. Cypher finishes him off with the super shotgun as well as he will be down and out. That's a free Mega pickup, and now Base is in a great position.
Absolutely. Once again, we see a perfect split here on the major items. 15 seconds. so Base can go back and secure if he needs to. He has that dual wield up if he needs to pop it, which he does just as a precaution. But Cypher decides to back off as well. There's no need to do anything drastic with 4 minutes to go and only one frag in.
The initiation leap in there, trying to go for a bit of a wild fight.
I think he got a little bit unfortunate. I believe one of the rockets actually knocked him over, which then left him in a very uncompromising position. Ultimately his death. Good rail coming out from Base, keeping crucial rail in fact, meaning Cypher doesn't want to push in now.
It's 2-2. It's tied up. We're coming up close towards 7 minutes. The Heavy's just been snatched away by Base. Cypher tracing him really nicely here with the LG though. A lot of damage done. That is going to leave a mark.
I think Base might have miscalculated the timing here. He doesn't need to be sticking around. Great rocket though. Kept him well alive then.
Wow. Alright. That's a free haircut given a Base there from Cypher. That must have been like a tiny pixel angle.
Just enough.
Oh, he only needs the tip down. That's what he does his most damage with. Cypher on a hunt here as he fires out these rockets, looking to try and do some more. A beautiful chase coming out as the game of cat and mouse begins again. The rail flick up, Base being left with really minimal stack here. Cypher is looking furious now.
Yeah, Base in a very uncompromising position with Cypher with the double jump abilities, pressuring through the middle ground. It is a much stronger position, meaning you can get to both sides of the map, and that's the one thing, as we said, that Base cannot do really with BJ. Stuck now, and I think Cypher knows where he is at least.
Ooh, a couple of connections as well with the Tri-Bolt as he fires out the warning shots. That's the Heavy being claimed. 2-3. Coming up to 8 minutes. Cypher, for once, has a bit of a lead to play with, and you can imagine probably the internal struggle of him wanting to take this. He needs those extra points. If this is a 3-0 for Base, it would just be lunacy.
You can see how badly he wants to take a fight right now, but Base obviously knowing that, playing as careful as he has done all game. Cypher has found him here. Base does enough just to get out on a decently healthy level. Taking away the light armor meeting Base is very much on the back foot here.
Oh, the rails! This is prime Cypher coming through as well. Normally, he is just so deadly with this. Gets the opening rail. Cypher now just has to back off, play it slow. Base, he didn't want to overcommit to the fight, didn't want to fall down to a 4-2 scoreline with just over 1 minute and 30 left. Realizes it's safer to just hold for the Mega, reset, and then commit to a fight.
And he has reset indeed. He's also got himself onto the Mega, and Cypher, with 1 minute to go, just wants to take away this Heavy and get the hell out of there.
Oh, this could be awful though. He does get the Heavy, but that's going to be the bring out! That's the tie coming through in the last 60 seconds. 3 apiece.
Perfect play from Base there. He's really on the hunt now as he hits that direct.
Oh! The follow-up as well, Base! From someone that was so calculated. Instantly flips it up to 11. Goes wild on that one with a follow-up rail. Cypher, down and out.
Yep, I expect him to pick up this Mega. Make a big push for the Heavy. If Cypher's even there, he's going to take a lot of damage, and he's not. Great LG coming out from Base, meaning Cypher cannot do anything. He needs to restack, but he's only got 30 seconds to go if he wants to tie this game.
Worst possible outcome here as well, as he actually does get caught off guard whilst he's trying to build that stack up once again. If he goes down 5-3, it's over. You've got 30 seconds, sure. There is a possibility you could try and tie this up and take it to a sudden death. But he needs a frag, and he needs a frag soon. But he cannot fight. He just doesn't have the stack.
There's no need for Base to do absolutely anything here. He can do a bit of damage if he wants to, but Cypher's not even going to show up. Base is just going to back off into a corner and wait for Cypher to come to him. He has that dual wield. It's almost an impossible task. And it is an impossible task. Yeah. Cypher can't even find him.
No, he's just going to take it on the chin. That's the way the cookie's going to crumble. Base, in the final few seconds of the game, just unleashes the inner deadly animal that's inside him and just tears his way through. That rail was just disgusting.
It was horrendous. Like, Cypher's hitting so much. Look at that. 66% rail. And that's probably across the board, across all games. And we see a 3-0 sweep from Base. I mean, that's just mental. I mean, we did say that Base has the ability to... His style conflicts very heavily with the way Cypher plays. Yes. And I think we saw that right there, is that Cypher didn't find a new pattern, a new rhythm to overcome what Base was offering. It was... I don't want to sound disrespectful, it wasn't anything special because it was very strong, but it wasn't flamboyant, it wasn't outrageous, it was just nice, steady, solid, Quake. He understood what Cypher was wanting to do. He played the items perfectly, and that was enough at the end of the day.
It was just such a direct counter to everything that Cypher wanted to do, and it almost looked like, when I was kind of talking about the idea of the confidence, that it put him in a bit of a box, because then he didn't ever sort of go back to the higher tempo style of play where we see him just sort of,
No. And
let himself off the leash.
We saw a strong period on this map right here where Cypher, it was the Cypher of old, where he was pressuring, he was getting on top of base, and it was in those situations where, yes, he wasn't getting the frag, but he was doing enough to keep it 50-50. As soon as he backed off and said, hey, I'm going to let base take the items, and then I'm going to try and do more damage than him, it was almost arrogance, and it didn't work. Base was holding his own, it was hugely respectful, and it was a very impressive game of Quake.
Oh yeah, I think to start us off with the night here, over, the ridiculous amount of games we've got, where there is going to be so much talent on the line and so many different contrasting styles of Quake displayed, this was a really nice classical game of Quake, especially from what came out from base, and just sort of the understanding of you play around the major items, you play for control, and that's what he did through and through.
If you wrote the handbook for Quake, you would probably put those games in as examples of what to do.
Just as a GIF. Print that out, put it on the fridge. Or if you've got an electronic fridge, print that out as a GIF, put it on the fridge.
Do you have an electronic fridge?
Yes, but it produces ice.
Okay. I'm not coming to your house.
Do you hate ice?
I'm not a fan.
Oh. Well, iced is definitely something that happened to Cypher there. As he was slowed down, he left looking a little bit sluggish from some of the plays that came out from base. It felt like, really, the aim was on point. The reads were on point. I think everything's going the way of base tonight. He's on fire, and he is going to be very happy with the points that he gets wired over to him as well, because that is a huge result in terms of the standings. But that is it for our opening game. However, there is much, much more to come. So let's have a look what is up next here on the Quake Pro League. Waz versus G-Nick. Dan, what are your thoughts on this bad boy?
I expect we see some action from these two high-tempo players. I enjoy watching these type of matchups where these guys like to fight. And so I'm just excited to see what they can put out there.
Yeah, it should be a juicy affair, to say the least. If you're excited to see a little bit of the wazzle dazzle, let us know over on Twitter. That's hashtag Quake Pro League. When we come back in, it will be some absolute annihilation on the server. For now, though, we're going to head over to a brief break before we return with more Quake Pro League.